Now, we've all heard of the big four banks. Well, there's another bank that's gaining popularity every day. It's called the Bank of Mum and Dad. Now, I say that tongue in cheek, but it's becoming more popular because first home buyers, particularly the younger buyers, well, they're finding it so much harder to get into the marketplace and buy their own home today than it was, say, 30 or even 40 years ago. You see, two things have happened. Firstly, there's been tremendous increase in property prices, which makes the target a lot harder to hit. You're saving a deposit, and all of a sudden property prices go up, and what you've saved is no longer enough. You need to keep saving more to you're kind of chasing your tail. You even get more frustrated because the target just keeps on moving. That's number one. And number two is we've had about 13 interest rate rises over the last couple of years, which makes getting into property market just a lot more difficult. The banks are making it a lot harder for you to qualify because the interest rates, they're increasing, but also because as interest rates increase, your out-of-pocket expenses, that's the amount that you've got to pay the banks back, they keep increasing, which makes it a lot more unaffordable for you. For example, back in 2019, you needed about $210,000 to enter the property market to buy your first home. That amount assumes that you're avoiding LMI. Now, 5 years later in 2024, you need closer to $330,000. No wonder people are so frustrated. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, it used to take about 3 to 4 years for the average couple to save a deposit. Today, it's taking them closer to 10 years to save a deposit for a home. No wonder people are frustrated and feel like they just can't get ahead. So what are your options? How can you buy your own home in this current marketplace? Well, the first is the most obvious. You can cut down on your expenses on all those extravagant lifestyle things. You go, oh no, not me. I need the latest shoes. I need the latest sportswear. I need the latest, and you can add whatever you want to that sentence. Listen to me very clearly. Immediate gratification costs you money long term. To try to keep up with the Joneses and, this FOMO, the fear of missing out, it's going to cost you dearly long term. If you can cut down on your expenses on unnecessary things, even if this saves you $100 a week, over a year, that's about $5,200. Now, it's not much, but it's going to help you get closer and closer to achieving your goal a lot sooner. So the first thing is cut down on your expenses. And you're the only person that's got total control over that. No one else has control other than you. Number two is, if you really want to get into the property market, you may have to move much, much further away than where you're currently living. For example, I talk to a lot of people in the eastern suburbs that love living in, say, places like Bondi or Coogee, but they're so desperate to enter the property market, they can't afford the, $3, $4, or $5 million to buy their first home in those areas. So you might have to move further west or north or south, but at least by doing this, you may be able to get in your foot into the property market. So by relocating much further away, you can get your foot into the property market a lot sooner. Thirdly, and this is a good one, you can apply to the banks of mum and dad. I know a lot of parents would love to help their children buy their first home. The bigger the deposit you can get from mum and dad, the less that you have to borrow from the banks. And the less you have to borrow means that your monthly repayments are much, much less. And the good thing about borrowing from mum and dad is that it can be interest-free. They're not going to charge you interest. After all, they're doing it to help you, not to make money from you. So if you're fortunate enough to do that, once the property increases, you can always draw on the equity and pay mum and dad back the money that you borrowed from. Number three is what I call rent vesting. A lot of people are doing this nowadays. In fact, last week I was having coffee and the waitress, who knows me quite well, asked me for some advice. She wanted to get into the property market, but the amount of money that she saved, and it was quite sizable, just wasn't enough to buy her first home in the area that she wants to live. In this case, she lives in Bondi. So what I recommended to her is to rent vest. She goes, what's that? Well, rent vesting is exactly that. You continue renting in the area that you like to live in her case, the Bondi Beach area. You might like to live in Bondi because it's closer to the beach and your friends and shopping centres and so on. So you continue renting there. But now, instead of buying a home to live in, you buy an investment property that you're going to rent out. You see, the difference between buying your own home and an investment property is this. If you buy your own home, the mortgage has to come out of your own pocket. That's after tax dollars. You don't get any tax benefits whatsoever. But buying an investment property, well, you get to claim all the expenses, all the interest, the property expenses, the management fees, the rates, insurances, and so on and so forth. You also get to claim your paper costs or depreciation on all your internal fixtures and fittings, as well as the building costs. So the amount that comes out of your pocket is much, much less. I'm finding actually that a lot of our own clients are recommending to their kids this rent vesting method as a way to enter the property market. Look, I've shared with you 4 ways that you can enter the property market. However, if you're still a little bit unsure and you want some clarity, look, feel free to write me a message in the DM below, reach out, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. After all, I'm here to help you help yourself. See you at the top.